Welcome everyone to my first Ask Me Anything video. This is something that I'll be doing hopefully maybe regularly if it's popular enough, or if there's enough interest, or if there's enough questions given to me. But this is what I'll be doing after every chapter or event that I'm completing for this game, and maybe for other games in the future. We'll see. But either way, I did get a lot of questions in from everyone, whether it was the survey, the comments of videos, and things like that. And this will be an extra video, very casual. I will be playing the permanent annihilation missions that I've completed already. This one I just recently did. I actually recorded this once before, but the video footage got destroyed because of the thunderstorm that turned off the power mid-recording. So yeah, I'm not gonna replay it. So you're just gonna look at the auto completion of the stage instead, just so that it's easier on me and I can talk about my answers for the questions, and the questions will be somewhere here, or I'll just read it out loud and you'll just see this video. But either way, I do want to start it. So this is the team I'm using. I do want to show, oh wait, I can't show it. Let me actually go to operators first. So these are the operators I have E2'd so far. So Shu, Mountain, Nightingale, Lapland, Amiya, and Myrtle. I haven't done more than that. I was working on, I think, Amiya, Nightingale, and Shu the most. So that's what I got done so far. I do have a bunch of E1. Not all of them are max, so I am trying to work on that. But I still don't have a DPS, and I heard that there's going to be a free selector for 6-star, and people have recommended Thorn or Silver Ash, but most recommended Silver Ash because I am in a lot of need of a DPS, a burst DPS in particular. So it seems like Silver Ash is the best option for me, so I might just wait until then, because I have not had good luck on this banner here. You know what I got? You know what I got? The latest 10 roll that I did, I got a medic. Another medic. Another 6-star medic. It's like I'm cursed. Why is it that every single DPS avoids me? You know, I didn't even get Reed Alter. Like, at least she's part DPS, but no, I don't even get her. So anyways, regardless of my horrible luck with this game when it comes to rolling, because for some reason I have extremely bad luck when it comes to non-medic operators, I still love this game. What's wrong with me? Usually people just give up and then go to another game so they can roll for other characters, right? But no. I don't know what it is about this game, but I still can't help but like this game, even if I have like the most horrible luck in this game than other games. So that's the whole situation here with my operators. So I know there was a question in there that asked me how many E2 and E1 operators I have, but this is it. So I don't have that many E2, and I've been borrowing a lot more because of that. But I do have plenty of E1, and I don't know who I guess the most useful is definitely Mountain, Nightingale, and Shu. So far, those three have been very solid as my operators. And the rest are mostly by case, but those three I always need at hand. But not really the other ones. I guess Slappy is the other one that I really like using those for, and maybe Gravel. But the rest is just okay, I guess. It's mostly just case by case. I do like Myrtle too, because she's useful as a Vanguard and gaining, you know, the SP, I believe that's what it's called. So, and then which ones am I interested in investing? Well, you see, if I had a DPS, then that would be what I would be interested in investing. But I don't have that, so I don't really know anymore. I don't really know. But I am just asking my server which ones I should build so far, and so far it seems to be J and Click, so I am building them next while also maxing out the levels for all of my E1s. I'm currently in the midst of doing that. And I do know that people have asked me if I feel like the game is getting harder for me or if it's the right amount of difficulty. And what do I think about the overall difficulty of the chapter? It's hard. You know, I always felt that it was a hard game from the very beginning, mostly because I suck at gaming. And mostly because I suck at strategizing and thinking on the fly and making decisions really quickly. I have like really slow reaction time, so it's like really hard for me. And I'm like the type that like goes at my own pace, so thinking quick is not really my strong suit. I need some time to like let it simmer and then, you know, figure it out and whatnot. So I actually had to use a guide for I think 2 of the stages. Actually, I looked briefly. I didn't really watch like entire videos and stuff or read the articles. I just looked briefly where the area of interest is, as in where you have to most likely block, and then worked my way there. So that was nice, except for the boss stage. The boss stage was extremely hard for me, and I just did not want to spend so many hours and days on it. Especially since I don't even have a DPS, so that made it even worse. So I actually had to ask my server, and then they helped me figure out a method and a strategy to beat the stage. I believe my MVP for the Patriot boss stage was none of my characters. It was actually someone's Typhoon, I believe. This is me crying, not really laughing happily. So that's how much I don't have a DPS and I really desperately need it. I really want it. And when will it come to me? I'm gonna cry. Okay, anyways, so that was basically what helped me beat the stage. If I didn't have her, then I would die. I feel like for some reason long distance, especially Typhoon, is the only one that always helps me in every single darn hard stage there is. You know, I feel like I need to get her. But either way, I still do need one DPS that is short distance, not just long distance. But for some reason, long distance always seems to, you know, always helps me for some odd reason. Or at least makes my life a little bit easier, because not having them is so painful. I wonder how many of you guys don't have any DPS like me. I don't even know anymore. What I mean by DPS is like a 6-star, actually meta, well-known. Because I'm not like that smart when it comes to strategy. It's not like I'm like a chess master or something. I need some guides to help me at that point. But like, I would like something that would make my life easier, because right now I got the lane holders, but I don't got the boss deleting characters. That's the painful part. So yeah, I feel like the game is getting extremely hard, and I don't know how I'm gonna keep up or if I'm gonna be able to do it, but with my server's help, I feel like I might be able to get through it. And as long as I continue to invest in building the right characters that will make my life easier, then it might not be too bad. But I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm not looking for chapter 8 in that regard. I did hear that maybe Paprika might help me, so I kind of did make her E1, but maybe she's not that helpful. If you have any recommendations on who is most helpful in chapter 8, please let me know. You don't have to give me spoilers, just tell me which operators are the most helpful, and I will be so grateful to you forever, okay? Just know that. I mean, I do have 6 stars, I guess, but they're not exactly, none of them were really recommended, so alas, can't be helped. These are the other characters I have. So those are the 2 questions I knocked out real quick. I guess the other one is how will I cover Arknights in the future? Before I go into the chapter specific questions, I do want to cover this. There will be 1 video essay every 2 weeks in general, but it doesn't mean it's going to be Arknights every 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks. It'll probably be maybe once every few months, because it mostly depends on my video editor to edit them. But overall, I'm only releasing 2 video essays a month, and I have 2 other games that I'm covering video essay-wise. So just be aware of that. So I have Limba's Company coming up next, and then Nikkei, and then after that, the first video of next year will be Arknights for sure. I'm hoping that having it as the first video released, it'll perhaps bring some good vibes to my channel when it comes to Arknights. Just because the algorithm was not kind to Arknights this year as much. But yeah, it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop playing, since I will be starting chapter 8 soon. And I know people have told me to play, I think it was called Walk in the Dust event, but my server member said that I should probably play that a little later, which I feel like would probably be for the best. So I'm going to go for chapter 8 next. I will be first focusing on building my characters to E2 as well though, because chapter 7 was that bad for me. So before I start chapter 8, I'm gonna do that. And because of that, I do need more time, which might mean that it'll delay the video essays I'll be releasing due to it. I mean, even if I start the event, I still need time to build my characters, so I really don't think I can just immediately get through to the event and then expect myself to reach chapter 8 after that. And no, that's not gonna happen. So I'm gonna be kind to myself and give myself more time. That being said, there will be one more video essay on chapter 7. I believe it'll be focused on the end of chapter 7, so you can look forward to that. I think that will be the one that'll be released at the beginning of January. And I did complete Dark Knight's Memoir for those of you who have not looked at my previous Arknights videos. And I also have completed some other, I think, side stories, so you can check those out if you ever want to look at it. Now, I will be releasing more of these Ask Me Anything videos in addition to the actual video essay, mostly because it's like additional content so you know where I am at, and maybe even give me advice during that, especially if you don't want to join my server. Just another way for you to do that. But that being said, if it's not really something that people care too much about watching wise, then I'm probably going to drop it too. So if that's going to be the case, then please don't be surprised if this is the last video where I do Ask Me Anything. And in that case, I will only be talking to my server members and maybe anyone in the comments below for community posts where I update you guys on my progress. And I did say I was going to do animatic shorts. It's kind of slightly delayed right now, mostly because I was sick, and then I created some mascots for my community, 4 mascots, which I'll be introducing in the community post. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out right now. They're really cute. And I'm creating emoticons and stickers and things like that for it, for my Discord servers. So I need to focus on that first, and then I'll continue with my animatic. But just know I am working on it slowly but surely. It's just that video essays right now and streaming every Friday is my #1 priority. So it might take a while. At the very least, animatic shorts isn't my main content. So it's just gonna be like, this is what I enjoy creating. I hope you like it kind of thing. So that's news. Okay, so now we will get through the replay. Yeah, I think it was this one. I'm gonna make it slower because we do have a lot to cover. So the first question for chapter specific ones: who are some of your favorite characters in the main story? Amiya, Calcit, and I think that's it. I mean, I like a lot of characters. Oh, and I guess Frost Nova, those 3. So Frost Nova is one who I particularly felt like was very important in the context of everything. So I really liked her. That being said though, I enjoyed Amiya's growth as a character and as a leader. Before, there was more of an emotional focus for Amiya, especially when it comes to her decisions. But later in this chapter, we can see that she definitely made decisions based on herself as a leader. So the whole shift in focus on what exactly and how exactly she views her world and how she makes decisions for Rodasa as a leader was very great to see. And Kaltsit is also one that I really enjoy looking at when it comes to this chapter, mostly because we're so used to her being so antagonistic that her being civil and actually telling us things like her thoughts in a non-antagonistic manner was very great too. And it was very eye-opening as well because it makes you realize, oh, what exactly did we do that made this kind of person not like us? So that was quite, the implications of it was quite intriguing. And while I was reading the story, the emotions I did feel were mostly thrilling and sad. Mostly because the sad part is understanding the victim's circumstances and the situations where kids are forced to be at the front lines, and Dokta having such a sense of guilt. I don't know how old Dokta is, but I assume he's older. Way older than Amiya, maybe like in his 20s or something, or he or she is in their 20s. And if that's the case, then I can clearly empathize with their emotions on seeing kids like Rosmontis and Amiya fighting at the front lines. And it was really interesting too because in the beginning, Dokta didn't really seem like they cared that much. Like it's like, oh, I need to get used to the situation. Because, I mean, why else would they be okay with Amiya fighting? Like, shouldn't they have known by now that they're a kid? But I guess now they know. But either way, it was a very much great to see his or her emotions stand out in the story because previously it was a lot more bland, the responses, but now you're starting to see hints of Dokta's actual personality and not just an amnesiac, which is obviously a good progress when it comes to Dokta and the MC, or aka us. The thrilling parts was mostly them not getting caught and Kalsit's charismatic words of sending out commands and whatnot. And as for W, it was very nice to see the things that we've suspected and know about from Dark Knight's Memoir to show up here in the main story. I wasn't surprised that she lost, but I wasn't surprised by her actions either because of that. I could see people being surprised though if they haven't read Dark Knight's Memoir. Tallulah, I still don't know how I feel about her, so I'm gonna put my thoughts about her to a corner and wait until I complete chapter 8 before having any thoughts on her. Patriot, he's just like an old fart to me. I don't mean it in like a really bad way. It's more like, you know those, when you call someone like an old fart, you usually mean like, oh, they're like super stubborn, or maybe it's just where I'm from, I don't know. But you know, like they're really stubborn, they don't want to change their thoughts even if the person that they love, like their family, has died because of their stubbornness, like that kind of thing. That's the kind of character Patriot feels like at the moment. I feel like there wasn't enough information about him, and while I did feel bad for him at the end, at the same time I didn't really have enough sympathy for him compared to other characters like Frost Nova, mostly because we haven't really personally experienced talking to him. Like, sure, we saw glimpses of his past and we've heard a lot about him, but we haven't actually experienced who he is as a person right then and there. So I don't know, I didn't really feel much about him because of that. I mean, I did feel bad, I guess, but not really. Maybe I'll change my mind once I actually play chapter 8 and once I get to know him, which has happened before with other characters. But right now, not much. Nothing much there. And for Wei, well, I think I've explained my thoughts about him in particular in the video essay, so I highly recommend that you watch it. It's the first video essay. I believe it's called Not Everything is the Truth Arknights video essay. So you can check it out to see what my thoughts are of Wei. The second question is, are you enjoying the main story? Yes, I am. End of story. I'm just kidding. But my thoughts on the story is that we're now finally officially done with the world building arc. And now we're finally starting to get into the nitty gritty part, which I have been waiting for 6 chapters now. So that felt great. And it's also why I said that my emotions while reading this was thrilling, because we're so used to it being slow paced for the past 6 chapters, and maybe some pains here and there and some slowness, and then maybe some tragic moments, but that's it. It was never really fast paced or like, things are finally hitting the fan. This right here, chapter 7, is the start of the hitting the fan part. Obviously, maybe chapter 8 will be more of that, but I'm starting to get a hint of it and a glimpse of it in chapter 7. What is my overall feeling about the chapter though? I'm enjoying it and I'm anticipating what exactly we'll be experiencing later, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I have favorite moments of each chapter because the overall story is very great. Like, it's very solid, so I don't really have like particularly like anything that makes me go, oh my gosh, this moment was like so peak. I don't have anything like that. It's just, this is like it's the kind of story where it like seeps into you slowly but surely, and then you don't understand the impact of it until after you finish reading it and processing it in your head, and then like maybe a few weeks later you're like, oh, so that's what it is. Oh my gosh. That's the kind of moments I have with this story. Rather than right then and there I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not like that. Maybe some of you guys are like that, but for me, this story is more like something to enjoy, like you're enjoying tea. You don't just drink tea and coffee like in one go and be like, oh my god, that was delicious. No, you sip it. You enjoy the smell, the temperature, the taste, the subtle hints of the taste, that kind of stuff. Not gulping it down and then expecting it to blow your mind right then and there. At least that's how I feel for this story. And I am looking forward to the next chapter, mostly because we did get more information about Amiya. I think rather than the major story reveal, I think understanding what Amiya is in the whole context of the world story is the most interesting aspect for me. That's also, and they also gave you lots of hints that she is the Lord of Demons, not just with the prophecy, but that she is very important. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, why would they make a 14-year-old, or she's 16, into a leader of an organization when there are adults within the org if she wasn't anything particularly special in some way? They hinted it a lot, so it was very clear that she is intended to be the leader for certain great, or not great, but certain solid reasons. And I think that story reveal at the end is a good indicator of it, or at least part of it. So what do I think will happen after this chapter? I think it will focus on the Lord of Demons and Tallulah and Chen. I don't really know where exactly they're gonna head towards next though, mostly because I don't have enough information. We're still in the very beginning. Like, maybe we're like, in the whole context of things, I think maybe I've only like took one step towards the goal, and that's it. That's how chapter 7 feels. So I did enjoy the pace of the story so far, especially in chapter 7. But there's a lot more to sit on and think about as time passes by. So I think the more I play the game and the more events I do play, the more the video essays might get longer in regards to theme or exploration and examples of from the story itself. So right now it's pretty, what is it? Surface level? Mostly because it's meant for people who have not read the story or have not played the game, but might be interested in knowing what the themes are of the story. But it's not really meant for those who are super into the game already. Or maybe it is. Depends on what kind of player you are. So that's my particular thoughts of chapter 7. The last question is actually, and so because the last question, let me double up the speed. Discuss about the recurring concern about the early chapter translations that are rough around the edges when people wish to recommend Arknight's story. Why does the story feel so heavy where the beginning was a lot of fluff while the end pays off? Okay, first of all, especially for those who are Americans, have you read a novel from John Steinbeck? I think he's a very good example of what the Arknights story is like in regards to writing and I guess mostly the writing style in some ways. In Grapes of Wrath, the novel by John Steinbeck, if I remember correctly, I think I am remembering correctly, it's been a while, I read that in high school. But there was like one chapter where it describes dust. Yes, dust. One chapter. Imagine you're in the literature class and you have to read a novel where one chapter that is so long talks about dust. So now there is some significance behind why that chapter talks about dust. Mostly has to do with the historical context behind and the setting of that novel. But I assume is why the beginning was considered a lot of fluff. Because in Mandarin, which please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just mostly what I believe is the case, or in Asian language, the way that they write the sentences might be considered fluff to those who are more used to Western languages, or non-Asian languages, I suppose. But it's something that makes the nuance of what is talked about a lot clearer than if it wasn't there. Like if it was so to the point, that's not even like a novel. That's just a what do you call it? A kindergartner book or something? I don't even know. So if a writing team wants to especially touch on super heavy themes later down the road, which is what I assume is what they mean by the end pays off, and why does the story feel so heavy, then those certain nuances and the world building needs to be done properly, and needs to be done so much so that by the time they do dive into those themes a lot heavier, without having to put in so much fluff and some nuanced description or whatever, it's a lot easier for them to digest. It's also why I believe Arknights, well, not only that, but Arknights is also a gacha game, so obviously the early chapter translations are going to be rough and they're not going to be as good, mostly because they probably aren't using an in-house translation team and are using an outsourced, which usually means people who are not fans and are just almost MTLing it, machine translation learning or whatever you call it. I forgot what it was called. But either way, it's clear that that's going to be the case, and I guess they might have started using in-house translators or those who actually have stayed with them for a very long time as an outsourced team. But again, I don't really know the situation too well, so please let me know if that's the case or if it's a different reason. But I assume that's the case. So I don't really know if it's a translation problem or if it's just a general storytelling aspect where they chose to do world building before diving deeper into themes and character focus. Because the impact of the character development won't be as impactful if you didn't understand and fully grasp what this world is like, especially since this isn't based on our world, or it's not our world, it's a world that's similar to ours but isn't, if you know what I mean. So that's why, I mean, I don't know if it's a choice that they made to make it take this long, but they're clearly setting it up to be a game where it's almost like an actual novel rather than, I mean, I guess you could say visual novels like that, but when I read this story, it feels like I'm reading an actual novel rather than a game. Like, games are usually shorter in sentences and they're not as, what is the word? I don't know the word. They're not as straightforward. I don't know what I'm saying. Either way, I'm sure maybe you guys know what I mean. But world building first is why some people might not get through it. Or they're just trying to figure things out, which is, I think, similar to series like Kate Kyoshi Hitman Reborn. Kate Kyoshi Hitman Reborn was one that was like that. But then, like, if you reach, like, the future arc or something, then usually people really love it. But it takes a long time before you can reach that part. And even then, it doesn't feel as impactful compared to if you actually watch the series from beginning to the very end. But not many people have patience for that, mostly because people have short attention spans now. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I really don't know. But that's what my thoughts are. But do let me know what you feel and why you think the story feels so heavy, where the beginning is a lot of particular fluff is the word that they want to use, while the end pays off. Of course, don't give me any spoilers, but do let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe it's an external factor, most likely an external factor, since there's probably lots of writers on the writing team rather than just one. I think if it was one, it would be a lot easier too, but it would also take longer to release updates. So, who knows? I don't know. I think the last thing I'll talk about is my discovery. So I actually wondered why Arknights was called Arknights. And so I briefly looked it up online because that's what one would do, right? When they don't know something. And I realized it's supposed to be a combination between the words Ark, which I assume references the Noah's Ark from the Bible, and the word knights. You know, like Nero, knights in shining armor. And perhaps even the word night, as in the night sky, yoru, pam, whatever, whichever language. Japanese or Korean, it would be that. But obviously, English isn't the original title of the game, so I looked up the Chinese characters for the game name. And I don't know, I obviously don't know Mandarin, or else I would actually play it in Mandarin. But I do know kanji from Japanese, so I did look at each one. And I saw that the first two is basically ashita or tomorrow. And then the third one is the kanji for direction away. And then the last one is for boat or ship. And then I looked into it a little bit more in the comments. And it said that the last two kanji or Chinese characters actually stands for the word ark, which I assume is the Noah's Ark, which I found to be interesting. So with those, I guess, English meanings, we could probably surmise that the Chinese title is something along the lines of Ship of Tomorrow or Ark of Tomorrow. So I found that to be really interesting. So it's really focused on the aspect of being taken from a disastrous, I guess, event, which, you know, there's plenty in the world of Arknights, and still maintaining hope for tomorrow or the future and making steps towards that hope. That's what I assume is what it's focused on, the whole theme of hope and surviving the disasters for that hope. But of course, those who know Mandarin can confirm whether this is right or not, so I'll leave it to you to sprinkle me with your thoughts of your knowledge of the language in the comment section, and I'll be eternally grateful if you did. Sometimes I wish I knew Mandarin so that I can actually understand the original meanings of the game. So that's one regret I have, but I'll do my best with the English. If only I could listen to it in Korean or Japanese, I could at least understand a bit better, but alas, it can't be helped. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Ask Me Anything video. I hope you enjoyed it. I've been just talking casually here. I know some of you guys would want to look at something, so that's why I had this on. And I need to do it, because I still need to roll on that banner again. The pains that I go through.
You tried your best.
So, in any case, thank you for watching the video. If you have gotten this far, I hope I have answered all questions. And again, if there is no more interest in this kind of video, then I I will not create any more of it, and this will be the last one in that case. But if there is another one and this kind of video seems popular enough, or at least if there's enough interest, then I will record another one of these. I kind of just wanted to make it very casual and make it as if I'm chatting with you face to face about the game and talking to you about my thoughts. That's kind of what I'm going for. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, comment down below, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!